Ding, thank you so much for being on the show. We met in person in Austin, if you remember. And I remember I kept seeing you on LinkedIn, like the sales rapper, and like I was like, this is fucking awesome. And then I was following you, and then we finally met, and now you've carved out the time to be on the show. So I really appreciate it.
Dude, thanks so much for having me, George. It's a two-way street. I remember that was actually my first week that I moved to Austin, and that was I remember it being in that room, and then I've been familiar with your work and all the great stuff you've been doing over the years through LinkedIn, and then just to be in a room right with you, like GB, I remember was there. I think a lot of good names. I still have a picture. I think Morgan was there actually.
Yeah, Morgan was there.
Yeah. And just feeling like, hey, this was the right choice to come to Austin, right? To be in a room with so many like-minded folks that are doing great things. So now to have this full circle moment here, we're recording the show. See now you maybe wish I had set up my multicam setup so I can compete with you on the visual level right now. But we're gonna have to rock with the raps.
Well, just for the audience, stick around, listen to the whole episodes, because we're gonna actually wrap up with a live rap here from the sales rapper himself. And you're basically a SaaS celebrity, right? So again, folks, just stick around. But let's dive into some strategy here, because I know a lot of folks are really keen on trying to figure out how, as go-to-market leaders, we should approach our content strategies now in 2024 and beyond. At a high level, what are some of the tips that you would give? And then maybe we can dive into some of the content types and styles that you recommend.
Yeah, absolutely, George. I think the biggest mistake that I see when folks think about content is it's challenging in a B2B go-to-market ecosystem where historically content has been white papers and guides, gated content, right? To think about making high quality, freely distributed content from a brand standpoint. And what I mean by that is there's often a misalignment in terms of what people's expectations are from a non-monetary investment side. I think people know, oh, we got to pay for shoots, we got to pay for production and all that. But it's with a very short-sighted, like, hey, we need results, right? This has to work with this quarter, or we're axing that budget. And the challenge of that is a lot of folks will go out. It's like, oh, let's get some ads made, right? Let's shoot something super high production. When in reality, the barrier to start shouldn't be as high. In coming from a sales background, like one thing we always talk about is pipeline coverage, right? And I don't hear a lot of folks talking about this from a B2B content standpoint. Is that a video strategy, a content strategy? It's reasonable to expect it's something that'll take 6 months to a year, to start seeing good results. But once the results start appearing, you're like, fuck, why didn't we? I don't know if I can curse on this. You're like, damn, what? Why?
We can fucking curse. That's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur. You see what? No, I was gonna say, you see what like Adam Robinson is doing and stuff like that. Yeah. Now, so I'm like, it's a benefit. But anyways.
I think Adam Robinson, great example, right? And he'll be the first person to talk about. He went into it, knowing that, oh, this is not going to pay off immediately, right? And he went about 8 months, right? Crickets, not a lot of not getting business out of it right away. But now everyone wants to be Adam Robinson, right? Now he's going, to what our B2B do, like is it 10 million in ARR like within 6 weeks,
something right? Crazy. I think it was like close to 2 million now in a whatever weeks. And I know that his retention.com business is something at like 20 million in ARR or something like that. Yeah.
And that's all results, the long tail, right, coming from something that was started with the a foundation of perseverance, a foundation of patience. Is that, and this is challenging because I think, especially in tech, the environment that we just came from, right? ZERP, fast growth, yeah, add head count. We got to increase the revenue numbers, right? It's very hard to reconcile that mindset with something like video content, which is something that takes time, intention,
Mm.
and patience to really get the full results. So I always when I say pipeline coverage from a content standpoint, it's you don't want to blow your load first thing, right? It's like, oh, let's go out, let's spend 40K on an ad, boom, you know throw some paid performance marketing behind it. It's like, oh, we got like one or two leads from it, one close. The ROI doesn't justify itself. Let's axe this whole campaign. It's like, it might be better to start small. Like, we have an event, right? So Event Shark, it came about as a result of me being the sales rapper, going around doing activation, doing SKOs, and performing at these events. And what struck me was, why am I, the sales rapper, the only person with a camera following me around, right? You have all of your subject matter experts, your whole community and ecosystem physically in one space, all the people that would be the best for any company to have in their content. And it's like, you're already spending all this money to have all these people here to be a sponsor at this event. Why are you not capturing this for posterity and to extend the ROI of any event investment, right? As you can get, batch capture, get a quarter's worth of content, create that pipeline, right? So that not every video is going to do well. Most of the videos that a company will post at the start will probably flop. One or two of them will find resonance, and then it's that dialogue, understanding the audience. You take the positive feedback. Okay, let's double down on these types of content.
There was someone I was speaking to recently that's in the video production space, particularly dealing with like B2B SaaS folks. And he kept saying that a lot of these executives and stakeholders within these organizations are just not feeling comfortable being on camera and things like that, because I think, to your point, they think that it has to be perfect, that they look at like newscasters and stuff like that and all the training they have. What would you say to those teams who are giving you that sort of pushback and saying, oh, I'm not good in front of the camera? I'm sure you heard that before, and these sort of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, so there's a 3-part answer. So part one is that I recommend, every company with executives that are thinking about this, if you look at someone like a Dave Gerhardt, right, founder brand, it's the impact of an executive voice and content is so much stronger than anyone else at the company. Yeah, you're gonna have these gung ho, hungry young SDRs. Oh yeah, we want to do this, we want to do that, shiny object syndrome, right? But the reason it doesn't resonate as well is the executives, they come in with more industry experience, more tactical knowledge, more expertise in terms of, we've actually been there and done the work, right? So they have more to speak to, and that should bring confidence, right? The second piece is, if you look at the content landscape in B2B right now, we're slowly catching up to B2C in terms of the presence of influencer marketing and whatnot, right? And there's something that's interesting happening on the B2C side is, you can tap into you can tap into existing influencers, but there's also something to be said for building out your own evangelists, right? To nurture someone, and maybe they're an executive, maybe there's someone that's on a hot rising star within the company, right? That you can pour some resources into. But I challenge the executives that out there that are perhaps nervous or less confident in terms of being on the content. Is one, you're the perfect person to do that and to see success from doing that. But also, there's ways that you can benefit from content without you directly being on camera. And then my third response to that is, it's underrated, the power of editing. And I'll share a personal story. Is when I do sit down talking head long form video, or when I'm making reaction videos, right? We're filming an hour worth of stuff. We might get a 10-minute video out of it. And the beauty of editing is that you don't have to say everything perfect every single time, right? And even this clip, right? This answer that I'm saying right now, I have some ums in there. Guess what? The magic of editing will take that out, right? It'll tighten everything up, and that's the power of production. Is that you don't have to be a finished product at the moment of capture. That's the power of editing, is to turn, what is almost there, and go beyond that 10.
Yeah, one thing I've also found is I've spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars before on a video through a agency and put it out there, crickets. No one used
Mhm.
it, or no one engaged with it rather, or very
Yeah.
little. And then I've also done like selfie videos and these like, sort of, I guess, lower production value stuff that
Yeah.
takes off and performs well. And so I think there's also this dynamic out there where people tend to trust those things that are imperfect because they're more human, right? Well, quick question about formats, right? Formats and content types, and maybe how they loop into that authenticity you mentioned.
Yeah. So for content types, I think it's really interesting that we're starting to see more of the full gamut of all the possible content types, right? So I would break it down into uh high production value, low production value, long form, short form, right? Every single bit of video is going to fall somewhere along that four-part matrix. Um the what my recommendation for folks going from 0 to 1 is to really think about, and this is an off repeated point, right? It's like we started with blog posts, turning them into social posts, right? Is you have your long form pillar content, that's informing clips, shorter form content. The idea is that you don't want to create once and distribute once, right? You want to create one time and distribute forever. And what that means is, and that ties into the whole build a strong content pipeline beforehand. Is you can be very strategic with a repurposing strategy, where often what you're repurposing actually never overlaps, right? You film a 40-minute segment with someone, and you're getting original differentiated clips out of that. I think episodic serialized content works really well right now. Of course, Adam Robinson, Chris Walker, like these are all great
Mm.
examples, right? Um, the the reason that that works well is you have to build up an audience consumption habit. Is you look at like any big TV show, uh, the last season of Succession, it performs a little better than the pilot episode, right? Because you've built up that audience consumption habit over time. Once an audience gets value or some type of insight from this, they're that much more likely to go back to your content. And then also thinking about discovery, is that long form content is typically a little harder to discover for an audience, right? Like unless you're sitting here searching up this specific podcast, yada yada. That's not how we consume content. We're scrolling the feed, right? So that's why short form distribution is important, is because it's more important from a discovery standpoint than it is from like we're gonna convert a prospect into a demo off of like a 30-second clip. You get them into the ecosystem, and then once you have that their captive attention in front of the long form, that's where that transformation happens.
And how do you start to map out something? Let's say you want to put together something in that episodic format that you mentioned. Any tips that you would give folks around just getting started? Because I think this is one of the pushbacks I've seen and experienced working with other folks is they're like, oh man, it's too hard. I gotta like figure out something that's now is stitched together over long periods of time, or some like total content calendar, and I'm swamped, right? Or whatever. Any tips on like how to just get started?
This is a good question, because the answer is actually very different depending on where you are, and this is where I think critically analyzing the context of where you're at. A small 1 to 5 person company with perhaps a non-existent uh, budget to invest in this. The right answer for them is going to look a lot different than a much larger company with multiple executives, right? That has a dedicated marketing and content budget. So that answer, I know this is a bit of a cop out answer, but what I'll say is at the grassroots level, all you need is you get a wireless microphone and have someone hold a tripod for your phone. You can make content just like that.
Mm.
You can make content. You can just have your selfie camera out. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, I'm here with George. I got a question. Right, and that'll work. It Now there is a consideration is if you're selling to the enterprise and you are established enough and you have some big logos and whatnot, there is the perception piece that's important, right? I wouldn't recommend a sufficiently large company to say, hey, put out low budget production content exclusively, right? That will still work, and there's something to be said for the power of authentic looking content.
Mm.
But you want to balance that out with some more premium, more high production, because that's your ACV is higher, right? So there's that kind of status inherent within that calculation.
Yeah, and you can essentially justify spending more to acquire customers, right? And build
Yeah,
brand. And even with retention, right? So in being able to impact retention and expansion. So makes total sense. Quick question, and I know we're gonna dive into the wrapping here in about 2 minutes, but at a high level, how do you start to work with sales enablement teams? So let's just say you're on the marketing side and you've got bought in by from leadership to start to invest in this type of brand building, video content, and even just outside of brand building, right? Impacting pipeline. And we always get to the point where a organization is going to start to say, okay, well, this has to impact in some
yeah,
way. Some organizations are going to be a lot more, I think, visionary about the brand building and the longer term impact. But at some level, how do you start to work with sales enablement teams to have better and more effective content that maps to that buyer journey, right? Or that sales
yeah,
process?
yeah. The biggest mistake I see happening with content capture, specifically on the B2B side, is that people over index on top of funnel content. They think, oh, this is content, it's got to live on social, it's got to, bring in leads and whatnot. I think that's perhaps misguided. We do a lot of event content at Event Shark, right? And I would say of what we capture, maybe 50% of it actually gets distributed publicly. The really big power is of video. Again, tying back to the authenticity, the real human factor, right? A video testimonial, I think there's a study out there that says it converts, I think, at a 10-to-1 ratio compared to text testimonial content, right? Because you're seeing a real human that's perhaps in your shoes, in your role, similar to you, you know, now espousing the positive experience or they had working with the solution. Um, Being intentional about who you're including in your content, where that content's being shot is really important from an enablement angle. Is that if you can create more sales collateral type video during your capture motion, that's gonna have a big impact on the sales side. But that starts on a foundation of understanding that B2C, like mainstream content, that's one thing they don't have to really think about, right? Uh, is content for the entire sales funnel that maybe half of this the public doesn't see, or it doesn't really matter if the public
Mm.
sees, right? It could be a good case study page on it might live on a case study page on a website. It might be a resource repository where salespeople can go in and search, hey, I'm working this deal with this account. This is their headcount. This is their pain points and their use case. We have something in our produced videos that's very similar to that. Now they can go and grab it and then send that as a resource and a sales touch point.
Awesome. Well, Ding, let's dive in. I know we got a couple minutes here. Why don't we dive into the wrap and let everyone experience the sales rapper. And if you have not followed or not aware of Ding, go ahead and follow him on LinkedIn, follow his content, follow Event Shark. Really awesome stuff. We're finally getting exciting here in B2B.
Let's do it, man. So
All
for
right,
this
man.
challenge, I want to prove to the audience that this is live. So George, I want you to type in 5 words or phrases into the chat right now. Um, we screen grab that, but this is off the top of the dome. This is a freestyle right here. I didn't prepare this. It's like the cold call of a rapper, right? Is
Okay.
you got to think on your toes.
All right. So I'm typing in our chat.
Let's go. Give me a couple more phrases, and then we can keep going. I'm gonna start rapping, and then as words come in, I'm gonna include them.
All right, let's rock.
Let me know if you can hear the beat.
I hear the beat.
Yeah. Uh. Yeah. And the GTM sweet like honey. Where's the pipeline? Show me the money. Yeah. Don't be funny. The revenue looking runny. Look, cause I keep it so real. With George, I'm closing these more deals. GTM with a pack. Sales rap on the live. We dropping facts. Yeah. And the prophecy is me. Cause you know sales velocity is key. Yeah. And I got the propensity to obviously be, look, and I go on and rhyme shit. What's the climate? Marketing alignment with the sales so you can never fail, so you can go get the leads and close all of the whales. Yeah. Approach with a caution. Me and George go way back. We met in Austin. Now I do his podcast. I ain't trying to talk trash. Yeah. It's young sales rapper with the hot flashes. I know what they've been thinking. They saw my Delilah video go up on LinkedIn. Yeah. And it's Ding doing the rapping. You know, LinkedIn is where the sales happens. Look, and I send out the messages and I'm on camera with executives. Yeah. And we got good enablement. Yeah. Sales rap my songs. Go and play it then.
Awesome, brother. Thank you. So that was completely live, even though you may not be listening to this show live. That was live. This is completely unedited and raw. Ding, big hug, brother. Thank you so much. It's awesome because
My
you
man.
got that beautiful energy where we've only met in person once, and I feel like we would be fast friends. We'd probably be hanging out every day if we were in Austin. But dude, if people want to follow you on social, I think I know the channels, but why don't we let them know where they can get in contact with you, follow you, maybe learn more about Event Shark for the go-to-market professionals, CEOs, and leadership that listen to this show, how they can leverage what you do.
Absolutely, man. LinkedIn is my main platform. So follow me, Ding Zheng on LinkedIn. Event Shark is the company. We are B2B content production, video by salespeople. So Jake and I, my co-founder, both sales guys in the past and had a lot of pain and headache with, hey, the marketing content doesn't really help us. So we kind of redesign the content process, to really serve sales folks and, to bring everything back to alignment. Omni-channel, we're pretty much everywhere. Check me out on YouTube. I do a lot of short form street interviews, which have been kind of going viral recently. So a bit of non B2B stuff for all the folks out there.